Hello, Houstonians. Welcome to this segment of Asian American Who's Who of Houston. It's my privilege and honor today to have a very special guest. His background is unique and varied, and his interest is also very interesting. He is an architect by profession. He is also an artist and a Feng Shui master. Our guest today is C.C. Lee of Houston's superb team of architects.
Thank you, Jimmy. How's everything going? Thank you.
Everything's great. I've heard so much about you, and in Houston, we've known what you've contributed to society, to the community over the years. You've involved in many charitable projects. And also your firm is also huge. You've done Houston public buildings, Hilton, Westin's. You've done projects for the government, for the county, for the city, for the airport. Aside from your professional background, I also want to talk about what your interests are. What, in your background when you were growing up, what really made you who you are today?
Thank you, Jimmy. I think since I was 20 years old, I was searching the meaning and of my life. Who is C.C. Lee? And I constantly challenge myself. So through the last 40 years search, I formalized my own philosophy to boil down to be two words: surprise myself. Okay, so based on that philosophy, and that I welcome challenge, and that I came to U.S. when I was 21 years old. I came to the graduate school at Washington University in St. Louis, and I graduated. I found a job, and when I was 30 years old, I reached all my goal. See, we said, they have the old saying said, 无子登科. I got all my 5 goals when I was 30 years old. I said, wait a minute, is that it?
Those 5 goals are you're owning your own home,
Yeah.
owning new car,
Exactly.
having a degree,
Yeah.
Being married, and having a child.
So-
you have everything that's needed to start off
Exactly.
at a young age.
Exactly. So when I was 30 years old, and all my life goal at that time, I already reached it. So, so I asked myself, I said, is that it? Do I want to retire, work all my life in a Springfield, Missouri? It's a small town. Yes, it's a nice town. It's a peaceful town. And my wife was very happy. However, I told her, I said, honey, we need to move. She was not happy at all.
I mean, it's a big culture shock coming from Asia and coming straight to Missouri. In the Bible Belt, if you went to a bigger city in the east or west coast, it would be different.
That's true. So we'll talk about that, and I can share with you. I remember my first 3 weeks at the classroom. I was like in a dreamland. Seriously, it's like a dreamland, and I was under a huge cultural shock because every environment, people, language, all different. And my head was dizzy for like 3 weeks. I sit in the classroom. I don't know what the heck kind of professor was talking about. However, that I went through that. So when I was 31 years old, I moved to Houston. I told my wife, said we need to go to a sunshine place. Then when I was 33, my wife had my second baby girl born on the 1983's April 6th. I told my wife, said, I need to start my own business. That was April 30th. When my wife was not happy again. Okay.
Well, you had a very stable position in a firm.
Yes.
You had a good income. And why take a risk when your child is so small? That's a good question. What made you want to take that risk to go out there and get to a different level of success?
Well, I guess my personality, somebody said fate is your personality, is your character. Since I was young, I don't like to take order from my father.
Rebellious.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to give order. Okay. So I thought, well, when I was 33 years old, I felt, and I was ready to have my own shingle. So yes, I quit my job. Yes, it's a good pay job, it's a secure job. The firm loved me, all that. However, I told my boss, I said, well, I got to try it. Okay. So at that time, I got a burning desire. I got to start my own business. I don't know anybody in town, not even Chinese. So, and I got a bland face to myself. So I start to call people, cannot get the food in. So my first client, you can say it's luck, or it's a hardworking, or it's a God that give me a hint or something. One day I was driving, I saw a sign, a vacant lot, a corner property for sale, called the DRA Construction. Okay, I got the idea. I pick up the phone, I call. I said I'm the potential buyer. Okay, I want to talk to the owner. And the secretary, sure, and they bring me to the corner. Where the owner said, oh yeah, Mr. Lee, come in. So I got my portfolio, my slides, put in my briefcase. I went in to talk to the owner. So, and during the conversation, the owner said, by the way, Mr. Lee, what do you do? I said, I'm an architect. He said, well, some days I like to see your work. I said, hey, just by chance, I got my work here. So I showed him. And he saw my slides and he liked it. When I was ready to leave, I told him 2 sentences, changing my life. 2 sentences. I said, Mr. Austin, if you want me to be here 7 o'clock in the morning, I will be here. If you want me to be here 10 o'clock in the night, I will be here. And then he packed my bag. He said, I like your attitude. We will do business. That's how I got my first client.
First break. CC, I want to tell our audience a little bit of background. For our younger generation, back in the 80s, for example, a foreign-looking person with an accent cold calling for architectural projects is unheard of. And I understand that. At that time, the world is not a global economy at that time. So we did not have, as Estonians, we did not have exposure. So for CC to be able, you must have had a lot of opportunities that did not come through. I'm sure you've called and called until you thought of this. This is not just luck. It's from repeatedly trying different ideas and from your work ethic. When the luck comes, you grabbed it. And also, on top of that, I'm assuming that the person that gave you this opportunity, I'm assuming he's a young person.
That's true. He is.
Young person is more willing to try and more open to new ideas and new people.
That's true.
So this also fits your personal motto, which is to surprise yourself. You have to go out of the box. You started from that one project to designing the landmarks of Houston, to having firms all over the world. I know that you have parts of your company in Asia, in Shanghai, and the state of Alabama, Mississippi, Florida,
and also Vietnam.
Even in Vietnam.
And also Nigeria.
And your base is here. You are a true Estonian. Your charitable events, what you give is to the folks that live here, to our community, to the people here. And for you to get the first break, you always remember that break was here. That's why you always, in Chinese, 我们说感激也回馈. You're giving back.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Now, that's your first break. I want to also ask you, how did you get from a professional background, being an architect, and venturing out to becoming an expert in Feng Shui? And let me tell the audience a little bit about Feng Shui, for those who are not familiar. Feng Shui is something that is used by Fortune 500 companies. It's been accepted as a logical and scientific way of changing or managing your qi and the placings of your home. CC not only knows about Feng Shui, he's teaching a class at Rice University. It is a part of the extension continuing study school. Every fall semester, CC will lead a class. And if you want to join the class, you got to do it early, because from what I know, from personal experience, it's sold out very early. The class fills up very quickly. So CC, could you tell our audience a little bit about Feng Shui and how you got into it?
See, Feng Shui is Chinese 3,000 years life experience accumulation. It is a statistics, because Chinese civilization is the only civilization last continuing. So people accumulate those knowledge. So based on that statistics, people realize a certain orientation is good for certain people. And that's all based on the Qi concept. Qi is a very Chinese concept. You talk about Qigong, Zhenjiu, acupuncture, and Gong Fu, all that, Feng Shui, all based on the Qi, okay? How I get into the Feng Shui study actually was in Taiwan, when I was in the Donghai University. It's a Christian college. It's a westernized college. And all our training is that Western training. However, I noticed in the market, the client hire architect to do the design. After the architect did the design, the owner always hires the so-called Feng Shui master and to criticize, to review architect's drawing, change a lot of stuff. It doesn't make sense to me at that time. So my intention was to study Feng Shui, I can criticize Feng Shui. I thought at that time Feng Shui is a superstitious. However, the more I study, I realize, hey, there's something there. So through my continuing study, I realized Feng Shui actually is architecture. Architecture is Feng Shui.
It's a fusion of both, because you use science in architecture and you're able to use a Feng Shui, which is knowledge built up with 5,000 years. What you said about the Chinese Feng Shui made a lot of sense, because a lot of people don't know that Chinese is a united kingdom for 5,000 years. Mm-hmm. That way that knowledge is able to pass down without interruption. It's never been really invaded. It's never been occupied until the last century. So that centralized literature and the knowledge continuously to pass it down.
That's true.
This is also why you're Western educated. I know you have a degree from Harvard. You also were able to go to school in Washington, and yet you're able to assimilate to the community, but still maintain your heritage and your culture. Mm-hmm. And that is very unique to our generation. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a very quick break, and we'll come back and continue this fascinating conversation with CC Lee, architect extraordinaire. Welcome back, Estonians. Thank you for watching our show, Asian American Who's Who of Houston. Once again, I'm privileged to have a very special guest, CC Lee of superb team of architects here in the studio with us. What we mentioned earlier was talking about Mr. Lee's background and also his interest in Feng Shui. CC, how are you?
Very good.
Thank you again for coming. We talked about earlier is about your background when you were growing up and how you went to college. Could you continue and tell our audience a little bit more about your education? What made you into who you are today?
Well, my education is typical. And graduate from college in Taiwan and come to US and go to the graduate school and get my professional degree. Then and work for a firm, internship, and get your license. Then and quit your job and start your own business. Okay, so the process is a pretty normal process. However, the inner, I learned in my 32 years in the business, and there's a up down 3 times, and I learned to be a leader. is you gotta be a constantly reflect, meditate, find yourself. And your strength is not from outside. Your strength is from inside.
Inner strength.
Exactly.
And this ties into your interest in Feng Shui, and also you're very philosophical too. You reflect a lot. And you said in college it was a Christian school also.
That's true.
I remember the story of how you questioned authority, you're rebellious, and you questioned the pastor about religion and whatnot. But then after 50, 60 years, after all these years, what is it that made you go back to that time and have that epiphany?
Well, Jimmy, I think we are all spiritual beings. We are not human beings. Everybody come to this life journey has a special lesson we need to learn. So I consider myself as a spiritual being and not a human being. I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. Okay, so I constantly trying to see the essence of the substance, the issues. And for example, and I question what's a human nature. And that I create my own definition. The human nature is the combination of divine spirituality and the animal's instincts. So human nature itself is a combination. So the purpose of our living is to diminish the animal's instincts, to increase our divine spirituality. Okay, so through that philosophy, and that I create my own philosophy, is boiled down to be two words: surprise myself. So based on that philosophy, I constantly push myself, my envelope, to the higher level, and I don't want to waste my valuable asset, the time. Think about it.
This is also why you constantly challenge yourself and your motto, surprise yourself.
That's right.
That's the same, it ties in. And you also mentioned earlier that Western education, Christian college, yet you're still, you studied Confucius and Chinese traditional studies. And combining all that together, plus Feng Shui, so we're talking about Qi and knowledge, and everything's tied in. You practice what you preach. You also mentioned earlier that the pastor at your school told you something when you were leaving that you did not understand until now.
Yeah, that's right. When I study Bible and with my pastor, after the whole semester we finished the New Testament, I told my pastor, said I didn't get a special enlightenment. However, he told me, he said, that's okay. Time is not right for you. You continue to search. Sooner or later, God will find you. I never pay attention on this until about 7, 8 years ago. One night, I suddenly wake up. I said, wait a minute. Why he didn't say, I continue to search, I will find the God. He said, I continue to search, God will find me. That really is the essence of that Christianity.
So you're not a religious person, you're a spiritual person, but you're able to tie all that together and use it in your work, in your charitable interests, and also, very importantly, is one of your big passions, which is painting. A lot of people don't know that you've had a long interest in painting horses, stallions, and I think you have had 13 gallery showings?
That's right.
Wow. And this is a traditional Chinese brush painting?
Yes.
Could you tell our audience a little bit about the art itself?
So I don't know why. Since I was 6 years old, I have a special attachment to the horses. Since I was started doubling, I drew horses. Okay. So I remember in Donghai University, they have a Chinese painting club. I joined the club, learned to use a brush painting on the rice paper. You know the traditional learning is you draw the stone the rock, the bamboo, or like that.
Like background and Feng.
Yeah, that's right. So then I started to draw horses, and the teacher said, that's good. You only need to focus on the horse painting. So that's why since I was 20 years old, I used the brush painting, the ink on the rice paper, and to draw horses. I have a special feeling, attachment with horse, because I can feel myself. The horse is a symbol of myself. And because I consider myself is full of energy. So my horse painting is full of energy. Okay, and I also feel the life itself should be full of positive energy. We cannot afford to have negative thought, negative energy. And I'm a firm believer, the positive thought attract positive energy. Positive energy attract positive result. So we cannot afford to be pessimistic.
You're always very optimistic. Your goal in life has always been to be fair to people, to be fair to yourself, and to be high-spirited, which relates to why you like drawing horses. So should I say life imitates art or art imitates life?
I would say two ways. Both.
It's both.
Yeah, right.
And that is interesting. Now, when is going to be the next gallery showing? Do you have an idea yet?
No. I don't have a definite schedule yet. But every community functions, I always donate my painting and that as a support.
Because I know you had a showing not that long ago, a couple months ago at HEC, Houston Community College, West Houston campus, I believe.
At West Loop.
West Loop campus. So that was a gallery showing the last time you had one.
Yes, right.
So hopefully we'll be able to see your paintings again in a public showing, so our audience members have a chance to see what CC is talking about, how art imitates life and life imitates art. Now, we also want to go ahead and talk about a little bit about your future plans. What do you see for Houstonians? What do you see for Houston in the next, say, 5-10 years? What is your personal hopes and dreams for Houston?
I think Houston is a very unique city, unique place. Houston is the symbol, example of the 21st century. It's a global melting pot here. And my global growth is because I'm based in Houston. So I can meet with different background people from the different country. For example, how I can have office in Nigeria, because I met several Nigerian people in Houston. So through their connection, I can have opportunity to set up my office in Nigeria. So same thing in Vietnam, because I know some Vietnamese friend in Houston, right? So Houston is a great place for the people with a global vision and willing to push your own envelope, is willing to challenge yourself, to surprise yourself. You can reach the global market from Houston.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. Houston's a big melting pot. And the opportunities that we have with the younger generation, with our generation, is unique. And there's so many opportunities out there. And for CC, he's able to make it, even though in the 80s, it is a different environment. You had to do it by yourself. A lot of people probably don't know that your firm, yourself, has designed George R. Brown Convention Center, Warwick on Rice campus, the dorms, Mud Lab, and you have designed buildings for Texas Southern University and the Anderson. I mean, the list goes on and on. For us Estonians, we basically see Mr. Lee, CC's designs, architecture designs, basically every single day, no matter where you go. Yet we don't know that behind the designs is a very interesting man that not only is a great architect, but also studies Feng Shui, very philosophical in your views, and also is a true artist. Now, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
And we hope that you could still continue to pass on what you've learned, your knowledge to our next generation of Estonians, and to teach us how to be able to continue to keep our heritage and our culture, and yet still be able to do well and have success in life.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for your time again, CC.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Houston. Please don't forget to follow us again on our next episode. Thank you. Have a good night.